listening to Rocket Shop Radio Hour here at Big Heavy World. I'm your host, Abby BK, and with us in the studio tonight, we have Interwoods. How are you guys?
Hey, thank you.
Hey,
We're
thanks for having us.
happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, welcome to the studio. So just to begin, what I always like to do when we have a group of several people here, do we just want to let our listeners know who's here and what instrument you're playing? Just introductions around for the four of you.
Yeah, I'm Zach Lees, and I play guitar, and I'm going to sing tonight.
Awesome.
I'm Brian. I play the bass.
Sweet.
I'm Zach. I play guitar.
My name is Andy Sutphin, and I'll be drumming for you guys tonight.
Sweet. Yeah, thanks for that. So tell us a little bit more about Interwoods. What's your band origin story? Where did you start? How did you all come together?
I think we started playing in a room in Zach's house in 2011. It was just the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
Zach played drums.
Oh, wow.
And we would play in that room. And then we've just morphed over time. We met Andy. He started drumming for us. Zach picked up the guitar. And we've been playing ever since.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it's been through several iterations now. We got into doing a lot of looping initially, and we had a bunch of electronic drum machines and some synthesizer stuff. And then we've been playing as this four-piece pretty consistently, I'd say, for the last 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
So,
Sweet.
yeah, so there's been different eras,
Yeah.
and now it's kind of more guitar music, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in terms of writing, who kind of brings what to the group? Is there someone who tends to bring the ideas? Do you all kind of bring different elements? How does that collaboration work?
I think Zach is, he puts structure to all of our stuff. I think we spend a lot of time playing music together and jamming, and then we come back to what we listen to, and, Zach might write something off of that. But I think you put most of the structure into our music.
Yeah, I mean, I think every song is different. One of the songs you'll hear tonight started with a bass line that Brian was playing that we kind of found, and then there's been songs where Zach has had some guitar parts that kind of spark things. But I think also playing as a four-piece for the last couple years, it's been a bit more improvisational as well, so there's been less structured, jamming type of stuff, and that kind of leads places as well, so... and then, I've listened to a lot of singer-songwriter stuff growing up, so I think that's also part of some of the origin of some of the old songs, especially too.
Yeah, makes sense. So you're all coming from different corners of Vermont, correct? I know that Brian, you're now in Boston. So how often are you coming together to either jam or practice?
We're probably getting together 3-4 times a year, but we'll get together in a space and be there for 3 or 4 days.
Okay, yeah.
But I think, we try and find as much time as we can, but it's tough to get together when it's, a hobby.
Right.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're lucky to figure out early on is renting an Airbnb that's kind of out of the way somewhere, and we'll just move furniture and crash there for a weekend and play a bunch of music and hang out. And we've been able to do that a couple times a year for the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's been really
2019,
great.
I think it's
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
That's very fun, yeah. Do you feel like you end up having new songs come out of that, or do you feel like you usually are doing repetition of older material, or both?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of both. I always want to have new stuff come out, and I don't think you can force it, but I think every session, and we record a lot of that stuff as well, so every session things either evolve or we find something new and
Yeah.
can listen back to that stuff later, which can be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in between those times, are you doing anything virtually to send ideas to each other, or do you really hone in on those in-person moments?
Yeah, so I think we're always... Zach and I will get together fairly frequently, and even in my office, and we'll do weird electronic stuff and record a bunch of stuff, or we go over to Andy's house and record stuff, and we'll send Brian snippets of things, and we've tried to use virtual spaces to rehearse, and I think we could look more into that eventually, but that's kind of worked every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when is your next Airbnb adventure? Was it recently? Is it in the future?
We had one in the winter. Yeah, We had one in the winter.
Okay.
I think we'll probably do another one in the fall,
Sweet.
maybe. Yeah, kind of whenever it can pan out, when we can do fun stuff outside in between, and yeah, try to find a cool spot.
Sweet. Well, we would love to hear your first song. So what have you got for us?
So this is a song called "About Elephants," which I think started with Zach writing it, and then we kind of evolved it from there.
About elephants, Interwoods. So tell us a little bit more about how your musical ideas come to you. Do you hear like a tune in your head? Do lyrics come to you first? How does that typically work for, I guess, for each of you, if you all are writing different, things that you're
Yeah.
bringing to the group?
So I kind of write generally by melody first, I think, and then the words come later. Would
Okay.
be generally how it happens. Like I like when other people write things, and then I can just kind of, I think when you come at other stuff that other people have written, you have a different perspective on it. So it's a different creative process. You're not so close to it, and you can kind of take a chord progression that Zach wrote and kind of play with it a little bit and add some words, which kind of come after for me.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's been cool to play music with Zach and sort of learn some of those pieces. But I think a lot of it comes from the improv stuff that we'll do, where we'll pick out a particular snippet of something that we like. We're able to record a lot. Like recording's getting easier, and so we've been doing a lot of that and being able to listen back and say, "Oh, I like that. 30 seconds. Let's turn that into something." Or this part of this jam is really cool. Let's make sure we put that in there in a more structured way. So those are some ways that I think recording has helped too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's what I'm practicing on, and then sitting in a room with them and starting to play a bass line that catches their interest, and then I'll just keep doing that. And sometimes it turns into something, and sometimes it's just a jam that we did one time. But having them be able to build structure on top of the bass line has been fun for me to sort of fool around with different things.
Yeah, totally.
I wanted to say, I don't know how many times we get in a room and the first thing we warm up on, just some weird thing that kind of comes to mind, can be kind of take you places. It seems to happen pretty frequently.
Yeah. Well, I think the improv style is, any type of music is a skill, but I feel like that's a very special skill to be able to cohesively feed off of each other. So I guess kind of my follow-up question to that is how would you describe what that flow is like working with each other? And since it's a jam, obviously I'm sure they differ from, song to song. Are there any, do you feel like you play them similarly each time you do, or is it totally different each time?
I feel like, at least for me, I can tell when something is working when there's a lot of space. So when you can hear everybody and when all the instruments sort of fall into their spot, I find that there's a groove there typically, and we're able to really work together and listen together, and it builds from it not just being a bunch of sound on top of itself, but sort of, we're all listening and it's moving, and then when somebody starts to go in a particular direction, we can follow because we can hear really clearly. So I think, for me, that's when I know that we're clicking, is there's a lot of space and we can hear everything, and somebody will pull in a particular direction and we all sort of can jump there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we have two recordings of a song that are the same for what we've recorded ourselves. I think this might be the time that we spent the most trying to really nail down structure to a song, because we're in a different environment and doing a different thing, which has been really cool, different way to explore music. But yeah, for all of the recordings that we have, it's all something a little different every time.
Cool. So how does that work with your lyrics specifically? Because I'm assuming those would maybe be the same, but then just the instrumental would differ at the end. Is that correct?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Right before we started, I was deleting some words on this iPad, so.
I love that. Make some changes and edits. Yeah. Did you have something to add?
You've also written lyrics live in the room while we were making up something new that becomes something over time too.
Yeah.
Something.
I like that.
Totally.
That's true improv.
Yeah. Going with the flow. And how often do each of you find yourself just writing, on your own time, coming up with ideas to bring back, or
I think there's cycles to it. I try and I like to play new things, and especially when we get in a room and warm up on things and just kind of throw stuff around. I don't know. That's my favorite part. Is something new.
It's always entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I think Zach can probably attest to this, but I think in the past 6 months to a year, I've been listening to a lot of different kinds of music, and I think hearing
Not all of it good.
not all of it good, but all of it music.
Yeah.
And I think hearing the way that different people structure songs or chords or melodies, you get different ideas from that. And so trying to genre hop a little bit and just kind of pull from stuff that's cool to sort of fit our sound, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with like the genre hopping, do you feel like there are like any sort of like recurring themes though across the songs that you've been playing recently?
Like lyrical themes or musical themes?
Like either one. Do you feel like there's anything that I don't know, maybe defines your sound in that way?
I
Or
don't know.
not.
I think we're laughing because I think like a lot of my lyrics and thematical stuff can be like fairly consistent. But I think a lot of the songs we're playing today are like fairly like not necessarily upbeat, but put a little more thought into them. But yeah, so I think lyrically, like you can't get away from yourself, so it's all gonna be, if I'm writing them, it's gonna be like that. So
Your
unfortunately,
style, yeah.
but I think musically we've tried to expand a bit what we do. Like I think when we were playing as a 3-piece, it was a lot more like bluesy type stuff, and like I think we're gonna play a blues song, but we've got that, and we've gotten funky, and I think also like my musical background was mostly like songwriting, which I really liked songwriting, and I like bands that like sacrifice to make the song better, so like if you honor the song and there's good songwriting, like then the music kind of, it can be all different kinds of music, but ultimately it's there to serve the song, which I like.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's been cool to sort of listen, because a lot of times when Zach will sing or present lyrics, it's the first time you're not sending emails with like, here's the, So I'm experiencing it for the first time often, which is a cool way to build melody from whatever I'm feeling from those lyrics. But they're also often like pretty surreal or like out there or really grounded. And so the kind of the vibes of songs, while there is kind of a consistent like indie funkiness to it, I feel like because of the lyrical content, it can get like pretty weird, which is great, which is a cool thing.
Yeah. So are there any like specific either like artists or bands that you're all enjoying listening to right now that maybe you also feel like you're bringing some of their sound influences back to the group?
Not me. No, I'm not bringing the sound influence. No.
Or just that you're enjoying maybe that are inspiring you, if not with your vibes in this group, but just in general as a musician.
We specifically told Zach he couldn't talk about Trey, but yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of my favorite things to do is not just trying to find new music, but explore older music that you may not have heard of, and you can like pull a song that was written in 1972, and you're like, how was this recorded back then? And I think that's where a lot of really good artists kind of get an idea. You can take ideas from the past like that. So like a band like Can, to me, is like incredibly, like they were recording in 1970 and their stuff sounds as good as, like if they released it today, you'd be like, wow, this is like a really cutting edge modern band. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'll say also I went to Bob Wagner's show at Jazz Fest, and he had horns in this, and he's a incredible guitar player and like band leader. And from that show, started listening to a lot more like Little Feat and things like that. And so I think those pieces are part of that thing I was talking about earlier, where there's a lot of space. You can hear all the instruments and everything ends up being really cohesive. And that, I wouldn't say like it's influence, but it's certainly aspirational for sure.
I love
We
that.
definitely share a lot of what we're listening to. We'll text each other with something, and then that might lead to us trying to cover that when we get together. And just through the process of covering something new, that leads to new jams, new ideas, new melodies that we haven't explored before. And so I think that way of sharing music has really led us into sort of new places.
Yeah. Inspiration is everywhere. Awesome. Well, we would love to hear your second song. So what have you got?
So this is a blues song. This is Second Son Blues.
travel on instead. Not too hot and not too cold, not too close to the black hole. We must find a second sun to call our own. Sacrifices will be asked of fearless leaders. They know what's best, a second sun.
Second Son. Love the effects on that one.
that was awesome.
Yeah, so fun. How do you like? What's your process for like choosing some of those effects? Like, yeah, this seems like a fun question.
How much time we got?
Tell us more.
Well, the world of pedals is a both fun and like awful. So there's just too many, and
Yeah, kind of overwhelming.
yeah, it's very overwhelming, and you can spend more time playing pedals and dialing and stuff than like actually playing guitar. But I think I have a multi-effects pedal that I use, and I like having one on the board because when you're trying out a sound that you think might go in a song, you can get the basic idea, and then if you decide like, oh yeah, I really want that, maybe you can buy kind of a nicer version of whatever that single sound is. But I find using delays and expression pedals at the same time is cool to get kind of warping noises and reverb and all the rest of it. But really it comes from just like, again, being someplace where there aren't neighbors and people can't really
Yeah.
hear us, and just like kind of going bonkers for a while and seeing what we can come up with.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been making weird noises. Sorry, we've been making weird noises for a long time, and I think like, you know, Zach and I have used looping a lot, and like we've done some stuff where it's just like a two-person thing with a lot of different looping and drum machines and things like that. So I think it's kind of a natural evolution to use the guitar in different ways as well that sound not like a guitar, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, the secluded Airbnb is a great place to try things out for sure. So what's like the current status on the new songs that you've written? Do you have like plans to release any music or practice new material out at gigs? Where are you kind of at with things with the new material?
Yeah, I think always putting something on the calendar for us to work towards, whether it's going out to get together or, you know, putting this on the calendar for us to be, you know, it's a catalyst to see what's coming next. We'd certainly like to try and find the right place to play music out. The music scene is changing and evolving, particularly recently. So, yeah, I think we fit into a summer festival vibe, and those don't exist that much anymore. Yeah. I don't know if you remember Manifestivus up in Cabot. You know, really small local summer festivals are hard to come by these days. They're hard to host. They're hard to bring a crowd to.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see what comes.
Yeah.
I like recording things and then listening to them by ourselves and not letting anybody else know about them personally. That's like, there's something about like having things that you're like working on that people don't know about.
Yeah. For your own enjoyment.
Right.
So where are like your favorite places to play, or like what are your favorite spots in Vermont?
Well, playing out is very new to us. I think to Zach's point, like we have spent a decade just kind of playing together and like for each other and
Yeah.
recording music and sending it to each other and all that stuff. And within the past year, we've been able to play out a couple times in Morrisville, and but this is sort of our first like real ability to record some stuff. And
Sweet.
so yeah, we're not like we play anywhere.
Yeah.
And we play at Andy's house a lot, and like without, I think Andy Stuffin and his space to play music in at his house. Like if it wasn't for that place, there would be so many bands in Lamoille County who like don't happen. So like you need somebody who's got space and like a studio, and he's got a mixing board and he can record as well. So we spend a lot of time there, and it's like such an incredible resource to have a space like that where people like can come in and make music really easily, you know.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. And just any more like general thoughts on the local music scene? Like, do you feel like that's been treating you well? I know obviously advancements have been happening.
Yeah. Andy and I live like in northern Lamoille County, you know, so like we're
Yeah,
kind of
how
like
is that up
bumpkins
there?
who don't really get out. Like I don't get out much. I kind of like having a little bit of isolation. I think creatively that can be nice. But I would like to, like, I guess get out more.
Mm-hmm.
I think like we're at least for this kind of collective, it's really like hobby stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that there are musicians in Burlington who are, you know, working sort of full time at music
Right.
and doing their thing. And I think that scene, yeah, as people are talking about, has kind of evolved and changed. I think for the casual, like myself, it like the venue's closing and God, economics and like everything else. I think it seems from the outside hard to be like a full time musician and
Yeah.
do music and like support yourself. And I think that creates smaller scenes and it just kind of like starts to implode a little.
Right.
So I hope that that's just what it looks like from the outside and that's not actually happening and that there is like, I know there is a collective of people who are really pushing things along. And yeah, I always love checking out like bands I don't know. And so it's sad to see some venues kind of closing.
Yeah.
I think music has been a reason to get together and hang out and spend time. And I think leaving that as what it is for us with other opportunities that might come up, I think is fun and gives us new reasons to try new things. But I think in the end, keeping it fun for us and just being able to get together and spend time. You know, you asked where we like to play. We like to play anywhere. You know, we said Airbnb, but places where we can get outside and enjoy Vermont. You know, it's not just about being in one space and playing music. It's also about having some experience together, which I actually think comes back into the room when we get back together after, you know, going out for a ski or something, and then we come back in and play music for a few hours. I think that whole experience comes back into the room with us.
Yeah, totally. I love that. You can really bond together and bring that into your sound. Awesome. Well, we would love to hear your third song. So let us know what's next. Yeah, take your time.
So the song is called Meadowlark.
Meadowlark. Love that one. So, you've all obviously been playing together for several years now. Um, all in all, like, how do you feel like you've evolved as a group, or also just like individually working together? Because it seems like you're all close, you come together. Do you feel like there's, I don't know, like a growth that has happened both individually and as a group throughout the years?
Yeah, I think we've known each other for a long time. Zach and I went to college together. I met Brian right after that, and Andy like a short while later. And so personally, like our lives are changing, and I think we're changing as people, and that comes out in music. I think strictly musically, like, yeah, we started like with me on a drum set, like hanging a mic from a ceiling fan and just like banging music around. And I think learning guitar has been a curve for me, and then learning to play kind of in a band versus just get through a song is different. And so I think the evolution of the novelty of like, oh, it's cool to just like be able to learn a song or make noise, to like, ooh, that was nice that we all stuck together on that, or we made this transition and remodulated this way. And so I think it's changed that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think your effects are I think, I've played music my whole life, but for a long time it was structured in band and in high school. And I didn't pick up the bass until 2009 and then started playing with them. And I think I learned the bass while playing music with them. And that evolution has been fun. And it's given me a reason to learn something new or try something new so that I can bring it to these guys and we can play new songs. I think we've gone through hundreds of songs at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else to add to that? Any like individual evolutions? I don't want to exclude anyone.
Them all grow, so it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Getting better and better every time.
I think like, yeah, getting better at your instrument and the equipment and our sound.
And what you want to sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any like specific sounds or areas of growth that you would want to explore in the future as well?
I recently obtained a electric keyboard, like a stage digital piano.
Oh,
So I'm
fun.
trying to remember how to play keyboard, and so that's been really cool.
What about the drone flute?
Yeah, there may be a flute album in our future. So. Shout out Andre.
Shout out Andre 3000.
Yeah. So yeah, but like I think like I've had a MIDI keyboard for a while, and so to have an actual like keyboard instrument to add to the sound has been really cool.
Yeah.
I think that there's I think when we can't get together as a full band, Zach and I will often end up at his house, like making strange electronic music. And I think the blending of those two worlds eventually would be cool. It feels like a lot to manage in terms of hopping around, but I think they have been pretty distinct. And so it'd be cool to kind of push them together. But
Yeah.
I think mostly it's just learning to develop the songs we have so that they're legible and so that they sound tight together. And I think that's a cool thing that we're always kind of working at.
Sure.
And I think for me, just spending more time playing together because we've learned how to communicate musically and we're able to, say things to each other without necessarily having to talk about what we're doing. And some of my favorite moments playing music are when, someone suggests something and we're able to blend into a new song or move on to something new or put a new jam onto a tune that we've never done before. Like I said before, I don't think we have two recordings of any of our songs that are similar for a variety of reasons. But continuing to build on that relationship musically with each other is always a goal for me.
Yeah. No, I love that. It seems like you have a great foundation. Well, we are nearing the end of the show. So the one question that I always like to ask just to all of our guests here at the end is let us know, tell the listeners, how can we best support you? How can we find your music, hear you? All of the above. The floor is yours to promote yourself.
Well, I really appreciate this venue. I don't think this is something that is very common, and appreciate the work that you all do to bring in local bands who wouldn't have opportunity to do this kind of thing. So, you found us through Rocket Shop. That's awesome. We put our socials, but we haven't really developed that. So this is sort of our first foray out there. So just listening and, giving feedback, whether that's on your YouTube or, on our Facebook that we provided, and we'll continue to try and build a little bit. But I think with the goal just being to play music together, whatever else comes is sort of a bonus. And, we'd love the opportunity to play live, because I think there's something about music that is different when you have an audience that communicates back to you. That is something that I would like to experience and learn. But if that doesn't happen, it's, we still get to play music together, which is the important thing.
Totally.
Also, if you are on a nice walk and you happen to hear like whales out in some fields, it's probably us at an Airbnb. So just, come on by.
Wander by. Yeah. Well, definitely let us know, if you have any upcoming gigs. We're happy to share out on our socials and spread the word and whatnot too. But yeah, one last song to play. So what will be your grand finale?
So this song is called Annette.
Interwoods with Annette. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. Thanks,
us.
everyone.
You guys are
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Thank you. And keep us up to date with what you're up to. And maybe we'll have you back on in the future.
That'd be great.
But yeah, listeners, as for now, this has been Rocket Shop Radio Hour. Stay tuned next week. Tune in for Kevin O'Shaughnessy, who will be here in the studio. But as for now, I'm your host, Abby BK, and we hope you have a wonderful day or night. We'll see you next time.
I didn't even pass out.
Yeah, buddy.